I spent all morning thinking about how do I explain this. And basically the orchestrator is there. It's a piece of software to decide whether a or a part of an AI workload is best done locally on device at the edge, or if it needs the superior computing of cloud server. Is that right? Have I kind of nailed what you're trying to solve for here?
That's correct. So yeah, thank you for having me again. And that is exactly correct. You don't want all your compute centralized in gigantic servers and everything running through the largest frontier models. You're already reading reports of how people are freaking out about their token costs. Some people are spending $500 million per month per engineer. What you actually want is efficient token value per watt per user. And that requires orchestrating privacy, accuracy, intelligence, and cost all together in one single unified system. And that orchestration capability requires hybrid model between server side and the local. And that's what we demoed today with Intel, and we're actually chip agnostic. So our solution works with Intel, it works with NVIDIA RTX. So we, just like how we've been model agnostic, we plan to be chip agnostic here.
That's interesting. So my next question was going to be, why Intel? What is it about Intel's role in the AI PC market and on the server side that makes it work? But if you're agnostic, what's the breakthrough that you've cracked? Like if you've written the software, what is it you've managed to achieve in how those workloads are diverted? Okay, go a bit further.
So, like I said, you want one single system to route across models, files, tools, chips, servers, and decide when to use which model or when to use your local file system, your local sub-agent model, your local LLM, or when to use a frontier model for depending on the task and the prompt, or depending on the confidentiality and sensitivity of your files or apps. That requires you to make clever orchestration decisions, balance trade-offs between accuracy and cost. And that's what we're doing in our software. And that computer is essentially an operating system that balances all these different objectives simultaneously.
I mean, you sit in such an interesting place as an orchestrator, whether it be letting people use your own in-house models, whether it's using a mix of third-party models, and the third-party models are up to a lot right now, Aravind. I just want to get your take on how you feel about competitive moats or competitive threats if these big companies, Anthropic, OpenAI, SpaceX, all go public in the next few months?
We actually love Anthropic, OpenAI, XAI, all these frontier labs. Every time any of their AI gets better, our unified system also gets better because we route across all of them. We basically think of Perplexity Computer as taking the best of all AI and putting it together in one single unified interface and system. So all of you know how much Anthropic's models have improved since the beginning of the year. What has it led to for us? Our revenue actually tripled since the beginning of the year. It's just been 5 months in the year, and our revenue has already tripled.
To what?
So we're actually like very happy with all these companies' progress, and they completely deserve their IPOs. So we're very excited for them.
Yeah, can I follow up? Are you able to discuss what that revenue's jumped to? There were reports in the FT that you're up to about $450 million just in the month of March.
Yeah, we crossed that. I think I publicly tweeted that we crossed 500 million about somewhere around mid-April. We are announcing new numbers yet, but we are doing really well.
Aravind, I've been thinking a lot about where Perplexity sits in the suite of available tools and technologies, right? Research seems to be a really interesting place with Perplexity. That's right. And I'm wondering like how you measure the engagement on the platform. So like, it's not just like one query and done, but do you kind of track the time that an individual desk or user would stick with one query as sort of indication of success? How the platform's being used, the behaviors of the user base?
So we are actually not trying to maximize engagement per user, in the sense we're not actually trying to keep them longer on the platform or something. In fact, like accuracy is somewhat like towards the opposite end of that. Like if you give the user an accurate answer in the first turn, it's likely that they're not going to continue in the same chat. What we actually look at is like retentive uses. Like if the same user is using Perplexity for a lot more research tasks, not just like that one single task it came with. And that's always been the case. For example, we introduced a max plan, and that's already like, at the beginning of the year, in terms of subscription split between the max plan, that is a $200 a month plan, versus the pro plan was somewhere like 9:91. Today, it's more like 30:70. So I think that already shows that there are these power users who are willing to pay like $2,000 a year out of pocket. This is not even enterprise, because they allow the superior research and orchestration and accuracy that we bring in our product.
Interesting.
So we're seeing the growth. You're talking about your average revenue run rate tripling, going up to almost $500 million. I'm interested as to where the combative nature does come in, because it looks like you're playing well with all the other players out there, but there is some issues in the courts in particular. CNN, for example, has just the latest to hit you with a lawsuit alleging that you violated federal copyright laws. How are you dealing with how people get paid and what you train upon and what you feed and source to us as a user?
I mean, the fact of the matter is that like nobody has any copyright over truth and facts. Like I think we've been consistent with our position. We are very confident in our position, and we will let the legal process, decide what the right thing is in that particular situation. I don't want to comment further on that, but nobody has any copyright over truth and facts.